Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Is it all right if we, do we have time to go through the prayers at the front? The prayers at the front. Om Jnana Timirandasya. Om Jnana Timirandasya. Gyananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurunmilitam Jena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale. Swayam Shri Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam. Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it's chapter 2, text 27, Bhagavad-Gita as it is. By Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have it. And without his mercy, we wouldn't have it. So we're obliged to remind each other as much as possible that we're simply made of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. And to beg him to keep bestowing his mercy upon us. In the same mood as Lord Nityananda, whether we're qualified or unqualified, their mercy is so sweet and complete and powerful that somehow or other, if we help each other to invoke their mercy, then we can all become very effective instruments and satisfied servants on their behalf. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. So, text 27. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur Bhuvang janma mritasya cha tasmat aparihare rite natvam sochitam arhasi jatasya, one who has taken his birth. He, certainly. Dhruva, a fact. Mrityu, death. Dhruvam, it is also a fact. Janma, birth. Mritasya, of the dead. Cha, also. Tasmat, therefore. Apariharye, for that which is unavoidable. Arte, in the matter of. Na, do not. Tvam, you. Sochitam, to lament. Arhasi, deserve. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain. And for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Together, we repeat together. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain. And for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. One has to take birth according to one's activities of life. And after finishing one's term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, the cycle of birth and death is revolving, one after the other, without liberation. This cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should he be afraid of or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of sinful acts of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. So it's very interesting that Arjuna, posing as a conditioned soul, wanted to relieve his relatives of all discomforts, including the discomfort of death. He didn't want to be responsible for their death. And Krishna, we read earlier that Krishna was smiling when Arjuna was lamenting and showing his reluctance to take up the battle. Because, in fact, Krishna doesn't want anyone to die or take birth or suffer. And it was the opposing party or the materialists headed by Dhritarashtra and Dronacharya, who were blocking the path of self-realization for all the citizens at that time. And that situation continues throughout history, that the materialists who are blind to spiritual life, the fact that our true existence is beyond this temporary physical body, and it's full of happiness and knowledge, and it's not affected by birth and death. In other words, we don't, all those worries don't exist in our true state of being, which is Krishna consciousness. And the ardent or burning desire of our Lord is that all of us become enlightened and truly enlightened, and give up the fear that ignorance breeds within our consciousness. What stops me from action in Krishna consciousness is fear, and that fear is due to a lack of knowledge and practice. But the mission of the Lord and His devotees is always to protect the environment in which it's paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam, which means to protect the spiritual environment, protect the righteous citizens, and encourage the impious to follow a path that will actually bring them true happiness through real knowledge. So the opposite of that is what the materialists are propagating, and it's been going on since time immemorial, this battle between truth and ignorance. So historically, we're in such an amazing situation, because not only do we have Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but we have Lord Chaitanya's activities and teachings, which are the pinnacle of Krishna's teachings, because He's tried everything with us. He's given us all the philosophy. We still haven't quite got it. So finally, he's delivered the most attractive and inescapable process for self-realization, and alongside of that, the most excruciating situation of Kali Yuga, where everything is falling to pieces right in front of our eyes. Especially, well, I suppose every generation says it, especially at this time. But there's no question that the world is in a very precarious situation for future generations, bearing in mind the military what do they call military stores that so many countries have, and if they don't have them, their ambition is to build them up. And the taxes of the hard-working people, Prabhupada would say that 50% of those taxes are going towards armament. So people are working hard, killing themselves, working hard, and then 50% of their taxes are going to make sure they do get killed, or if they don't get killed, their future generations will certainly get the result of their taxes. So that's the inevitable destination of materialistic consciousness, is destruction, birth, death, old age, disease, over and over and over and over and over again, in different situations. Some can be, tolerable, and then who knows, some can be very, very intolerable. We're very fortunate because we've taken to Krishna consciousness, and there's guarantee of at least that we will make progress, and not only that, that we'll go back to Godhead. So we're very fortunate. However, unless we get the leaders of the mass of people to unless they're exposed to the potency of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement in its fullness, unless they understand that we actually are holding the perfect solution to all of the problems of the world, unless we get to them on that level, and they understand that they're misusing Krishna's resources, we will not really have accomplished what Srila Prabhupada wants. So we have to understand that first, how to utilize all the resources that Krishna is sending to his movement, how to use those to the fullest potential. Prabhupada wants farms, he wants healthy devotees, healthy, wealthy, and wise devotees. And all of this can happen when together we actually cooperate rather than compete. And when we take on in full confidence the mood of servitorship, which is Lord Nityananda's mood. He says, Chaitanya Radas Muni, Chaitanya Radas, Chaitanya Radas Daseranu Das. That, was that Advaita Chandra? But they all have the same mood. That Advaita? Okay. That, because he was being glorified in so many ways, but his reply was that I am the servant of Lord Chaitanya's servant, and the servant of his servant's servant. So if that is the mood of Lord Chaitanya's closest associates, and that is the sweetest mood, and that is the mood of Srimati Radharani also. It's the mood of, it's the foundational mood of Krishna consciousness, Sanatana Dharma, service, the servant of the servant of the servant, is actually the most secure position. And that's without any sectarianism. It's a free-flowing energy. So, coming back to the question of war and violence, when force is used to counteract adharma, when force is used to, or violence is used to counteract exploitation of the innocent, then that use of violence is completely pure and dharmic. It's not discharged for any selfish or evil motive. It's discharged to relieve the painful or unjust situation. So with that confidence in mind, that's the only thought process that can convince one to do the right thing, that it's not just right for me, it's what Krishna wants, and it's right for everyone. And in that situation, we can do anything. That's why Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. But the consciousness has to be pure. And in that consciousness, we can do anything for Krishna. Yudhishthira got marked down for not wanting to tell a lie, and Arjun got a higher grade because he was willing to do anything for Krishna, let alone the gopis. When Narada Muni was asked whether, when he was asked for the dust of his feet because Krishna had a headache, he was reluctant to give it. But because the gopis understood that this was what Krishna wanted, Krishna may want that sometimes, they were willing to give it, even if in common understanding you go to hell for doing that. So that highest etiquette of being willing to do anything for Krishna is only available when we understand and practice that understanding of Krishna's purpose. But usually Krishna doesn't ask us to lie or this or that. But a devotee, a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada and the acharyas, because they're on the transcendental platform, whatever they do is totally above mundane morality. So it's actually the liberated platform, and that is the platform that Krishna is encouraging Arjun and all of us to achieve. And it is achievable in the right association, and that is the instructions of the bona fide disciplic succession, the bona fide spiritual master. And we're so lucky because Prabhupada is training us to be that in whatever way we can. And the main point is to stick to the integrity of what Srila Prabhupada has given us, and many times that conviction will be tested. Like Prabhupada says one thing, and other people are saying other things, whether it's family or friends or anyone, shopkeeper, or even sometimes our own authority. So it's the responsibility, because while we're conditioned, there'll be imperfections. We'll make a mistake here or there, whatever our position is. But the purpose of sadhu sangha, or the purpose of association, is that every devotee should, we each need to know what the standard is, because at the time of death especially, but at every moment, we're preparing, as Prabhupada mentions in his purport, that our next body is a result of the activities of this particular of our activities in this body. One has to take birth according to one's activities of life, and after finishing one's term of activities, one has to die and take birth for the next. So, till we achieve realization of our eternal identity, we have to be very mindful of our thoughts and activities, of our consciousness, so that we can make the optimum progress, so that we can share that with everyone around us. And needless to say, it's the best thing we can do for ourselves as well, and Guru and Krishna will be pleased. So in text 21, Krishna gives his explanation of why this war and this killing of friends and relatives was inevitable. He says, Srila Prabhupada says in his purport, everything has its proper utility, and a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, the justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person according to the codes of justice. In Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death so that in his next life he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. So there's so many sinful activities going on the planet, and no matter how hard the good guys try to explain to people that they should follow the instructions of their scriptures, and make peace and not war. So long as those instructions are not taken to heart, society is just a confused jumble of animal-like people searching for the best type of sense gratification, the best type of, everyone wants to be on top, everyone wants to be better than the other. So, Krishna's pushing all of us, Krishna pushing Arjuna to do the right thing. In other words, if he doesn't fight the battle, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and their associates would continue to perpetuate sinful karma. So they'd get the results sooner or later. So because Krishna is everyone's well-wisher, he's saying, just get rid of them, let Yudhishthira become king, and let the whole population become Krishna conscious. So Arjuna was not fighting the battle for himself. He was to fight on behalf of Krishna, for Krishna's purpose, so that everyone could make progress and live the happy life that they're entitled to. So similarly, on the planet today, people, as Prabhupada would always say, the people are good. It's just the governments are so exploitative, and we read in Srimad Bhagavatam also that the government will they'll turn into a group of thieves and rogues, and all they will do is exploit the citizens. That's all they'll do. They're already doing it, but it'll become even worse, classified thieves and rogues, unless the citizens become enlightened and regain their. It almost sounds like what's going around in political circles, like regain the power, or this or that, power to the people or whatever. But it has its place, because unless every citizen is enlightened and empowered, we can't do our eternal service. So it's not that it's just going to get done for us in any situation, whether it's in the Krishna consciousness movement or out in the world. We each have to know where we fit in, what cog we are in the wheel. And we also have, as Prabhupada said, this movement is based on love and trust. We have to develop that love and trust that, this cog's not going to just decide to split, and then all of a sudden the wheel will start shaking. Everyone's needed. So that's the purpose of life, is that we understand what each of our individual dharma is, and we respect and honor that and practice it, and we respect and honor the dharma of each devotee of the Lord. And in that way, that service mood can perpetuate without any hiccups. And the infection, or the correction, rather, the cure can spread all over the world. And we have the power to actually turn things back the right side up. within and without. If we just like really help each other and put our wheel, our shoulder to the wheel, and experience the pleasure of doing that together. And we do to a great extent, a lot of the time. But there's always more and more and more and more to achieve. It's 5 to 6. Should we stop for questions? Is that okay? Because I notice we're falling asleep. Question?
No question.
No question? Okay. There was something from Prabhupada's. Yeah. There's one quote from Srimad Bhagavatam that's very nice. That it's no accident that our movement is not being paid enough attention by the leaders, because they know that if the power goes back to Krishna, then they lose theirs. So Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam that there's due to this age of quarrel, Kali, which we have discussed, there's always a chance of quarrel on slight provocation. This is not due to the issue in question, but due to the polluted atmosphere of this age. There is a systematic propaganda by a section of people to stop the glorification of the name and fame of the Supreme Lord. So that battle is ongoing. And Krishna is not going to give up. And with the determination that they have for sense gratification, we have to fight with the same determination for self-realization. So, from the Vaishistya Ashtaka of Srila Prabhupada's poem to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, there's a beautiful verse where Prabhupada says, "If there is a kingdom of Lord Vishnu and the Vaishnavas established here on earth, only then will the people be happy. This is confirmed by all the great saints and sages. Lord Krishna personally installed King Yudhishthira to rule upon the royal lion throne. At that time, the world was opulent with riches and grains due to the auspiciousness of having a Vaishnava leader." So we have Srila Prabhupada here on his lion throne, and we're also experiencing great opulence due to that leadership. And it can be so much more. It can be so much more, because when Srila Prabhupada was physically here, there was so much opulence. Wasn't there, Mandakini Prabhu? And the root of it all was Srila Prabhupada's absolute devotion and conviction. I better stop. better stop. Sorry.
Just you were talking about Prabhupada's opulence, and it reminds me when he was in New York, and there was absolutely no followers. He was alone. It was winter, and then.
Is there? I can give you this one.
Can you hear? I try to speak louder.
Okay.
It was winter. It was snowing. Even Prabhupada never saw snow before, and he thought the walls had been painted white. And then he was sitting on a bench. He had absolutely nothing, no followers, nothing. And a man came, and he asked him, "What are you doing like that in New York?" And Prabhupada said, "Actually, I have a lot of followers. There is great opulence. And I have 108 temples. But time is separating. So already this opulence was there."
Yeah, it's there. Krishna wants to share with his sons and daughters in all forms of life. Lord Chaitanya has come to save all species of life. And I mean, actually the devotees are the real leaders on the planet. But boy, we've got to shape up a little bit, you know. I mean, but that's not meant in a. It's meant in a loving way that, you know, we really have a lot to get together. We've got a huge mission, and it's so exciting. So again, if we can pray to Srila Prabhupada, Lord Nityananda, this is such an auspicious time of the year, with Gaur Purnima coming up. That, and also it's the beginning of a new decade and the beginning of a century. We're only 20 years into the century. It's a very, very powerful time to be preaching and acting on Krishna's behalf and changing the world on Krishna's behalf. Let's go for it. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your patience.